Welcome to Uncloseted Conversations. Even if you stumbled upon this channel by accident, you are welcome here. The stories here are from my heart, from my soul, from my pen to your ears. I hope that you will stay a little longer and open yourself to the magic of storytelling. Here I write fiction, and though not always aligning with reality, it still tugs at heartstrings. Stories are escapes and sometimes a balm to the soul. So, enjoy your time here, and if reality presses down too loud and too hard, come knock at the door, come in, take a seat, grab a coffee, and just exhale. These are veil-bound stories, and the space is free and non-judgmental. Sit back, earphones or pods in, and let's listen to another exquisite romance. Scammers Anonymous. Scammed, hunted, and finally unstoppable together. Chapter 1. The Hook. The message didn't look like a weapon. It looked like warmth. Good morning, beautiful. Did you sleep well? Leandra almost smiled when she read it. Almost. Her thumb hovered over the screen, muscle memory itching to respond, to slip back into that soft rhythm they had built over weeks. The pet names. The late-night confessions. The way Rose had learned her too quickly, too precisely. That was the first crack. No one learns you that fast unless they're studying or hunting. Leandra leaned back against her kitchen counter, the tile cold through her shirt, grounding her in something real. Her apartment was quiet, not peaceful. Quiet in the way a room feels after someone leaves and takes the air with them. She read the message again. Good morning, beautiful. It used to land like a kiss. Now it felt rehearsed. Like a line delivered too many times on too many stages. Say it again, Leandra muttered under her breath, voice edged with something brittle. How many beautifuls are there, Rose? Her phone buzzed again. I miss you. It's been a long morning already. Leandra let out a short, humorless laugh. Tragic. Truly. The oil rig must be emotionally exhausting today. She pushed herself off the counter and started pacing, bare feet whispering against the floor. Her mind was no longer tangled in longing. No, it had sharpened into something else entirely. Clarity. The kind that comes after humiliation burns itself clean. 3 days ago, she had still believed in Rose. Believed in the late-night vulnerability, the stories of isolation, the carefully timed voice notes that sounded just real enough. She had defended her, trusted her, sent money she couldn't afford to lose because love, or whatever version of it this was, had convinced her it mattered. And then came the silence. A gap. A glitch in the performance. A reused photo. That was all it took. One reverse image search, and suddenly Rose wasn't Rose anymore. She was a collage. A curated illusion stitched together from stolen lives and recycled lies. Leandra stopped pacing. Her reflection stared back at her from the darkened window, eyes sharper now, less forgiving. You really thought you were special, she said softly, not unkindly. Didn't you? Her phone buzzed again. Persistent. Predictable. Desperate. Baby, are you okay? You're quiet today. Leandra smiled this time. But it wasn't soft. It was surgical. She opened her laptop, fingers already moving with purpose. Screenshots. Messages. Bank transfers. Photos. She laid them out like evidence on a table, building a case against a ghost. If Rose was playing a game, Leandra was done being the prize. She was going to be the ending. And somewhere between the anger and the clarity, something else sparked. Curiosity. Because people like Rose didn't just lie once. They repeated, perfected, recycled. Which meant, Leandra's fingers paused over the keyboard. There are others, she whispered. Not a question. A promise. Her pulse steadied, something almost electric threading through her veins. The humiliation hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed. Refined into something sharper. Something useful. She opened a forum. Then another. Then another. Stories began to surface. Fragments at first. Then patterns. Same words. Same timing. Same tragic, distant life. Same name. Rose. Leandra leaned in, eyes scanning faster now, heart no longer breaking, no, it was building. And then she saw it. A post. Short. Controlled. But underneath it, anger, barely contained. If anyone else has dealt with Rose, the Dubai engineer with a tragic schedule, message me. I'm not letting this go. Leandra stared at the screen. A slow smile curled at her lips. Well, she murmured, reaching for her coffee, now cold but still bitter enough to match her mood. Looks like I'm not the only one who got the deluxe heartbreak package. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for just a second. Then she typed, "Hi. I think we need to talk." And just like that, the story stopped being about Rose and started becoming about something far more dangerous. Chapter 2, Receipts and Rage. Leandra didn't sleep. Not really. She lay in bed with her laptop casting a pale, unforgiving glow across her face, the kind of light that doesn't comfort, it exposes. Every message, every voice note, every "good morning, beautiful" sat open in tabs like ghosts refusing to be ignored. If heartbreak was a storm, this was the eye of it. Still. Focused. Dangerous. Her cursor blinked in the message box she had sent hours ago. "Hi. I think we need to talk." No reply. Yet? Leandra exhaled slowly, dragging a hand through her hair. "Of course you're not online," she muttered. "Because that would be convenient. And we don't do convenient anymore, do we?" Her attention snapped back to the evidence. She had built a timeline. Not just a messy scroll of memories. No, this was structured. Precise. Surgical. Week 1, introduction. Charming. Attentive. Week 2, emotional hook. Trauma stories. Late night vulnerability. Week 3, dependence. Pet names. Future talk. Week 4, crisis. Always a crisis. Week 5, money. Leandra stared at it, lips pressing into a thin line. Textbook, she whispered. Not love. A script. Her stomach twisted, not from sadness this time, but from the insult of it. The sheer audacity of being handled like a predictable equation. She clicked open a voice note. Rose's voice spilled into the quiet room, soft, warm, threaded with just enough strain to sound believable. "I hate asking you this, Leandra. You know I do. But I have no one else." Leandra paused it halfway through. "No one else?" she echoed, her voice low, almost impressed. That line must get a lot of mileage. She grabbed her notebook, yes, a physical one, because something about ink made this feel real, and started writing. Phrases used. "I have no one else. You're the only one I trust. I'll pay you back as soon as." She stopped. A slow, dangerous smile curled at her lips. "As soon as I vanish," she finished. Her phone buzzed. Leandra froze. Not Rose. A new notification. Unknown number. Her pulse didn't spike, it sharpened. She picked it up, thumb hovering for half a second before opening the message. "You said we need to talk." Start talking. No greeting. No softness. No nonsense. Leandra's smile widened. "Well," she murmured, sitting up straighter, energy snapping into place like a live wire, "you don't waste time. I like you already." She typed back quickly. "Let me guess. Oil rig? Dubai? Tragic work schedule." The reply came almost instantly. "And the part where she calls you beautiful like she invented the word?" Leandra let out a sharp laugh, real this time, cutting through the tension like glass. "Oh, we're going to get along just fine." She swung her legs off the bed, suddenly wide awake, the exhaustion replaced by something far more potent. Connection. Not the fake, curated intimacy Rose had manufactured. Something real. Two strangers. Same wound. Same fire. Her fingers moved again. Leandra. A pause. Then. Mia. Leandra tasted the name silently. Mia. Short. Solid. No frills. It fit the tone. The edge. She leaned back, phone in hand, staring at the ceiling as if the story was writing itself above her. "All right, Mia," she whispered, a spark of anticipation threading through her voice. "Let's compare notes." The messages started flowing faster now. Screenshots exchanged. Dates aligned. Stories overlapping with eerie precision. Every revelation hit like a match striking. She told me her passport got flagged. Same. Said she couldn't access her funds. Exactly the same. Used a photo in a gray hoodie? You've got to be kidding me. Leandra shook her head, somewhere between disbelief and admiration. This woman really said copy, paste, devastate. Her phone buzzed again. How much did you send? There it was. The question. The one that still carried weight. Leandra's fingers hovered. For a moment, the armor slipped. Just a fraction. Too much, she typed. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Reappeared. Then. Yeah. Same. No judgment. No pity. Just understanding. And somehow, that hit harder than anything else. Leandra swallowed, something tight loosening in her chest. You know, she said softly to the empty room, this might be the first honest conversation I've had about this. Her phone buzzed again. So what now? Leandra stood, walking back to her laptop, eyes flicking between screens, between past and present. What now? The question hung there, heavy, loaded, waiting. She looked at Rose's last unread message. Baby, please talk to me. Leandra tilted her head, studying it like a puzzle she had already solved. Then she smiled. Not soft. Not kind. Precise. She typed back to Mia. Now, we stop being victims. A pause. Then, I'm listening. Leandra's reflection caught her eye again in the dark window. But this time, she didn't look hollow. She looked awake. Alive. Dangerous in a way she hadn't been before. Good, she whispered. Because somewhere between the receipts and the rage, a plan was already beginning to form. Chapter 3. The Pattern. By morning, Leandra had stopped blinking at the screen like it might blink back. Coffee sat untouched beside her, long gone cold. Her laptop hummed softly, overworked and underappreciated, much like her patience. Mia, however. Mia was relentless. Check this link. Another forum. Another thread. Another woman telling the same story with slightly different bruises. Leandra clicked. Scrolled. Paused. You've got to be kidding me. Different name this time. Different country. Different timeline. Same script. Same rows. It was almost impressive. If it hadn't been so grotesque. She told her she was in construction. Not oil. Mia's message popped in. Leandra smirked. She's diversifying. Growth mindset. Her fingers moved quickly. Same emotional arc? 3 dots. Then. Identical. Week 3 she starts talking about building something real. Week 4 something goes wrong. Leandra leaned back, exhaling slowly through her nose. There it is, she murmured. The rhythm. Like a song. Predictable once you knew the beat. She opened a new document. Rose. Pattern analysis. Yes, she was naming it like a case file now. Because that's what it was becoming. Not heartbreak. Evidence. Variables. Occupation shifts, oil rig, construction, engineering. Location fixed, Dubai. Photos recycled. Voice notes consistent tone. Constants. Fast emotional intimacy. Isolation narrative. Financial crisis at peak attachment. Sudden disappearance post-transfer. Leandra tapped her pen against the desk, eyes narrowing. Not random, she said softly. Never random. Her phone buzzed again. I think there's more than one of them. Leandra stilled. That thought had been circling her too, just out of reach, like something she wasn't ready to name yet. Explain. Mia's reply came slower this time. Thoughtful. Timing overlaps. I checked timestamps from 2 different posts. She was messaging both at the same time, same intensity. Leandra's stomach tightened. Not possible, she muttered. No one has that kind of bandwidth unless. She stopped. Unless it wasn't one person. Her gaze sharpened, locking onto the screen. A team, she whispered. The words settled heavily in the room. Not a lonely scammer spinning lies in isolation. An operation. Structured. Efficient. Cold. Her phone buzzed again. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Leandra let out a quiet, humorless laugh. Well, Rose just got promoted, she said. From heartbreak artist to full-blown organization. She stood, pacing again, energy coiling tighter with every step. This means records, she continued, thinking out loud now. Systems. Scripts. Maybe even targets. Mia finished the thought for her. Leandra stopped mid-step. A slow smile spread across her face. God, I like you. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was charged. 2 minds clicking into place, sharper together than apart. Her phone buzzed again. We need more data. Leandra tilted her head. Always straight to business, she murmured. But she was already nodding. Agreed. I'll start pulling usernames, dates, anything I can cross-reference. A pause. Then, I can help. Leandra hesitated. Not because she didn't want the help. Because she did. And that was new. Trust didn't come easy anymore. Not after Rose had turned it into currency. But this felt different. Not forced. Not rushed. Earned in fragments. All right, Leandra typed. We build this together. 3 dots appeared. Stayed. Then disappeared. Then came back with something unexpected. Careful, Leandra. That almost sounded like a partnership. Leandra smirked, leaning against her desk. Don't get ahead of yourself. You still haven't proven you're not secretly Rose in disguise. A beat. Then. Wow. Betrayed once and now you're paranoid. Tragic. Leandra laughed soft, real, alive. There it is, she whispered. There's the bite. Her eyes drifted back to the growing web on her screen. Names. Dates. Stories. Threads connecting like veins under skin. This wasn't small. This wasn't personal. This was a machine. And machines? They could be broken. Her phone buzzed again. There's something else. Leandra straightened slightly. Go on. A pause. Longer this time. Then. I almost met her. Leandra's breath hitched, just enough to notice. Interest sharpened into something deeper. Almost, she echoed quietly. The reply came slowly. Carefully. She canceled. Last minute. Said something came up. Leandra's gaze darkened. Of course she did. But her mind was already racing ahead. Because almost meant something. It meant proximity. It meant risk. It meant. She slipped, Leandra whispered. Her pulse quickened, not from fear. From possibility. Mia, she typed, fingers steady now, I think we can find her. The response was immediate. I was hoping you'd say that. Leandra smiled. Not soft. Not safe. Something sharper. Because the story was changing again. Evolving. What started as heartbreak had become investigation. Investigation was quickly turning into pursuit. And, somewhere in the middle of it all, there was Mia. Still just words on a screen. Still a voice without a face. But already something Leandra was starting to look for between the lines. Chapter 4. First Contact. Leandra stared at her phone like it had just made a suggestion she wasn't ready to accept. We should talk. Properly. Mia's message sat there. Simple. Direct. No fluff, no emoji to soften the edge. A call. Not texts. Not carefully curated responses with time to think and edit and retreat. A voice. Real. Immediate. Unfiltered. Dangerous. Leandra exhaled slowly, dragging her thumb across the screen but not replying yet. Her apartment felt different tonight, quieter, but heavier. Like it was holding its breath with her. "You've handled worse," she murmured. Had she? Texts were safe. You could hide in them. Build a version of yourself that felt controlled. A voice didn't give you that luxury. A voice told the truth, even when you didn't mean it to. Her phone buzzed again. "Or we can keep pretending this is a documentary and not, whatever this is." Leandra let out a soft laugh despite herself. "Whatever this is," she echoed. "That's comforting." She typed back. "You always this impatient?" The reply came almost instantly. "You always this avoidant?" Leandra froze for half a second, then smiled. "Sharp," she whispered. "Very sharp." Her pulse picked up, not from nerves exactly, something else. Anticipation, threaded with curiosity. She hit call. No countdown. No second guessing. Just ringing. Once. Twice. 3. "Hello." Leandra stilled. The voice wasn't what she expected. Lower than she imagined. Calm, but edged with something steady, controlled. Not soft like Rose had been. Not performative. Real. Too real. For a moment, Leandra forgot to speak. Then, "Wow," Mia said dryly, "you call me and then go silent?" Bold strategy. Leandra huffed out a quiet breath, leaning back against the wall. "I was just adjusting," she said. "You don't sound like I thought you would." A pause. "Let me guess," Mia replied, tone laced with amusement. "Less tragic damsel, more, what? Corporate villain." Leandra smirked. "I was going to say less fake." That landed. Not heavy, but noticeable. "Yeah," Mia said after a beat, softer now, "I get that." Silence slipped between them, but it wasn't empty. It was aware. Like both of them were recalibrating. So, Leandra said, pushing off the wall and starting to pace again, energy needing somewhere to go, "You almost met her." Straight to it. No dancing. Mia exhaled quietly on the other end. "Yeah. What happened?" A small pause. Then, she picked the place. Some cafe. Public enough to feel safe, I guess. Mia's voice shifted slightly, like she was replaying it in her head. "I got there early. Sat where I could see the entrance." Leandra could picture it already. The anticipation. The scanning of every face. The hope. "And?" she asked, softer now. "And I waited." The words were simple, but they carried weight. Leandra stopped pacing. "How long?" "Long enough to feel stupid," Mia replied, dry again, but there was something under it now. Something tighter. "Then I got the message. Last-minute emergency. Couldn't make it." Leandra closed her eyes briefly. "Of course." "Yeah, of course." Silence again. But this one, it leaned closer to something vulnerable. "She was never coming," Leandra said quietly. "I know," Mia replied. No hesitation. No denial. Just truth. Leandra swallowed, something shifting in her chest. God, she liked this woman. Not because she was easy. Because she wasn't. "So," Leandra said, forcing a lighter edge back into her tone, "you got stood up by a fictional character." That's a new low. Mia let out a short laugh, low, real, unexpected. "Careful," she said. "You're not far behind me." "Oh, I surpassed you," Leandra shot back. "I funded the fantasy. You just RSVP'd. Touché." The word lingered between them like a spark catching. And there it was again. That pull. Not loud. Not overwhelming. But undeniable. Leandra leaned her head back against the wall, staring at the ceiling. "This is weird," she admitted. "Yeah," Mia said. "It is." A pause. Then, "Not bad weird," Leandra added. Another pause. Softer this time. "Yeah," Mia repeated. "Not bad." Something settled then. Not fully trust. Not yet. But the beginning of it. "So, what do you look like?" Leandra asked suddenly. "Bold. Maybe reckless. Definitely intentional. Mia didn't answer immediately. Instead, "Why?" she asked. Leandra smiled slowly. "Because if we're about to dismantle a scam operation together," she said, voice dipping just slightly, "I'd like to know who I'm partnering with." Silence stretched. Then, "You always this smooth?" Mia replied. Leandra laughed under her breath. "Only when I'm being interrogated." Another beat. Then, "All right," Mia said. "But fair warning. I'm not sending you a curated illusion." Leandra's smile softened, just a fraction. "Good," she said quietly. "I've had enough of those." A notification pinged almost instantly. Image received. Leandra's breath caught before she could stop it. She opened it. And for a moment, the investigation, the anger, the entire mess with Rose, it all faded to the background. Because Mia wasn't what she expected either. Not polished. Not posed. Real. And somehow, that hit harder than any illusion ever could. "Yeah," Leandra murmured, more to herself than anything else. "This just got complicated." On the other end of the line, Mia's voice slipped through, softer now. "What?" Leandra didn't answer right away. Because how do you explain the moment something shifts? The moment a stranger becomes, not that? She exhaled slowly. "Nothing," she said finally, a hint of something new threading through her voice. "Just realizing we might actually be good at this." Mia hummed lightly. "Yeah," she said. "We might be." But neither of them said the other thing. The more dangerous thing. That somewhere between the lies of a scammer, something honest had just stepped into the room. Chapter 5. Coffee and Confirmation. The cafe wasn't special. That was the point. Neutral ground. No romance baked into the walls, no soft lighting trying to seduce a moment into meaning more than it should. Just coffee, quiet conversations, and the low hum of people minding their own lives. Leandra chose the corner table anyway. Old habits. Back to the wall. Eyes on the door. She checked the time. Then her reflection in the window. Then her phone. Then the door again. "You're not nervous," she muttered under her breath. "You're just verifying reality." A beat. With slightly elevated heart rate. The bell above the cafe door chimed. Leandra looked up. And there it was, that strange, suspended second where instinct moves faster than logic. She knew. Before the face fully registered. Before the details settled. She just knew. Mia. No curated angles. No filtered softness. No illusion. Just a woman standing in the doorway, scanning the room with the same sharp awareness Leandra felt in her own bones. Dark jacket, steady posture, eyes that didn't wander. They assessed. Calculated. Landed. On her. And stayed. "Well," Leandra murmured under her breath, something like a smile pulling at her lips, "she's real." Mia didn't rush over. She took her time. Measured steps. Controlled. Like she wasn't about to walk into something unpredictable, even though she absolutely was. When she reached the table, she didn't sit immediately. She studied Leandra first. Up close. No screen between them. No delay. Just truth. "You're Leandra," Mia said. Not a question. Leandra leaned back slightly, meeting her gaze without flinching. "And you're not Rose," she replied. A corner of Mia's mouth lifted. "Low bar," she said. "Important one." That did it. Mia pulled out the chair and sat down. There was a pause. Not awkward. Not empty. Just charged. Like both of them were adjusting to the weight of reality settling into place. "No filters," Leandra said, tilting her head slightly. "Bold of you." Mia huffed a quiet laugh, setting her phone on the table. "I figured we've both had enough of edited personalities." Fair. A server passed by, breaking the moment just enough to let them breathe. "Coffee?" Leandra asked. "Already had one," Mia replied. "Didn't trust myself to show up here undercaffeinated." Leandra smirked. Smart. This could have gone very differently. Still could, Mia said lightly, but her eyes held something steadier underneath. Leandra leaned forward slightly, resting her arms on the table. All right, she said. Let's get it out of the way. Mia raised a brow. Get what out of the way? This, Leandra gestured between them. The part where we confirm neither of us is about to ask for money, disappear mysteriously, or reveal we're actually 3 people sharing one phone. Mia blinked. Then, she laughed. Not polite. Not restrained. A real, unexpected laugh that turned a few heads nearby. Wow, she said, shaking her head. Your trust issues are loud. Earned, Leandra shot back. Same, Mia admitted, the humor softening just a fraction. Silence slipped in again. But it had changed. Less guarded. More curious. Mia studied her for a moment longer, then leaned back in her chair. You look exactly how I imagined, she said. Leandra's brow lifted. Oh? That sounds suspiciously like a line. Relax, Mia replied. It's not. You just look like someone who doesn't let things go easily. Leandra smiled slowly. That a compliment or a warning? Both. There it was again. That spark. Subtle, but alive. Leandra exhaled softly, tapping her fingers against the table. So, she said, shifting gears, you almost met her. Mia's expression shifted slightly. Not closed off, but focused. Yeah. Same location she suggested before? Mia nodded. Yeah. I went back yesterday. Leandra stilled. You went back? Yeah, Mia said simply. Figured if she's running the same script, she might reuse locations too. Leandra stared at her for a second. Then shook her head, a quiet smile breaking through. Of course you did. What? Nothing, Leandra said, still smiling. Just confirming my theory. Which is? Leandra leaned in slightly, voice dropping just enough to feel like a shared secret. That you're either incredibly smart, she paused, eyes flicking briefly to Mia's lips before returning to her gaze, or dangerously stubborn. Mia held her stare. Didn't look away. Why not both? Leandra's smile deepened. Yeah, she said softly. Why not? The air between them shifted again. Warmer now. Not safe, but inviting. Mia cleared her throat lightly, breaking it before it lingered too long. I talked to the staff, she said, pulling her phone closer. No one remembered her. But she turned the screen slightly. There's CCTV. Leandra leaned in, their shoulders almost brushing. Almost. Her focus snapped to the screen, but she was aware of it. The proximity. The heat. You got access? Leandra asked. Not yet, Mia replied. But I know someone who might help. Leandra glanced at her. Of course you do. Mia smirked faintly. I come prepared. Clearly. They stayed like that for a moment. Close. Focused. Aligned. 2 strangers just days ago, now sitting side by side, building something that felt a lot like momentum. Leandra leaned back slowly, exhaling. This just got real, she said. Mia nodded. Yeah. A pause. Then Leandra added, quieter now. Not just the investigation. Mia's eyes flicked to hers. Held. And, for a second, neither of them pretended they didn't understand what she meant. Yeah, Mia said again. Softer. Because somewhere between confirming identities and chasing a ghost, something else had stepped into the light. Uninvited. Unplanned. But very real. Chapter 6. Playback. The security office smelled like old coffee and bad decisions. Leandra leaned against the wall, arms crossed, taking in the dim monitors flickering with grainy footage. The place felt forgotten, tucked behind the cafe like an afterthought no one wanted to deal with. Romantic, she murmured. Really sets the mood. Mia didn't look up from the man hunched over the system. You flirt with danger or just questionable environments, she asked dryly. Depends, Leandra replied. You planning on being either? That earned her a glance. Quick. Measured. Not ignored. Focus, Mia said, but there was a ghost of a smile trying to escape. The man at the desk, mid-40s, disinterested, bribed just enough to care, sighed as he clicked through timestamps. You said last week, right? He muttered. Tuesday, Mia replied. Around noon. Leandra tilted her head. You remember the time? Mia shrugged slightly. I remember everything that annoys me. Leandra smirked. Good. Stay annoyed. It's working for us. The footage rolled. People moved in and out of frame, faces blurred by motion, lives passing in fragments. Cups lifted. Conversations half seen. Nothing remarkable. Until. Pause. Mia's voice cut clean through the room. The man froze the frame. Leandra stepped forward, her pulse tightening just slightly. There. A figure near the entrance. Cap low. Sunglasses. Body angled just enough to avoid the camera. Of course, Leandra muttered. Subtle as a ghost. Mia leaned closer to the screen. Play it. The footage resumed. The figure didn't enter fully. Didn't approach the counter. Didn't sit. Just lingered. Watching. Waiting. Then. Gone. Leandra frowned. That's it. Rewind, Mia said. Again. The same sequence. The same almost presence. The same exit. Leandra's jaw tightened. She was there. Yeah, Mia said quietly. She just didn't want to be seen. Leandra folded her arms, eyes locked on the frozen frame now. Or she wanted to see without being seen, she countered. Mia glanced at her. There it was again. That silent agreement. She clocked you, Leandra continued. Made you before you made her. Mia didn't argue. Didn't deflect. She just nodded once. Yeah, she said. That's what it feels like. The room fell quiet. Not defeated. Just recalibrating. Leandra stepped closer, studying the screen harder now, like she could peel back the pixels with sheer will. Zoom in, she said. The man adjusted the frame. Grains stretched thinner. Details blurred. But something caught. A hand. Just visible for half a second as the figure turned. Leandra leaned in. Stop. The image froze again. Her eyes narrowed. There, she said, pointing. Pause it right there. Mia moved closer beside her, their shoulders brushing this time. Neither of them pulled away. What am I looking at? Mia asked. Leandra didn't answer immediately. She tilted her head, eyes scanning, mind turning. Then, a ring. Mia blinked. What? Look, Leandra said, softer now, more focused. Right hand. Index finger. The man zoomed further. It was barely there. A glint. A shape. But enough. That's not random, Leandra murmured. Mia's voice dropped slightly. You think it means something? Leandra straightened slowly, turning just enough that she was suddenly very aware of how close they were. It's consistent, she said. Rose changes names, jobs, stories, but details like that? She shook her head. People forget to change the small things. Mia watched her for a second. Not the screen. Her. You're good at this, she said. Leandra glanced at her, one brow lifting. Careful, she replied. You sound impressed. I am, Mia said simply. No sarcasm. No deflection. Just truth. Leandra held her gaze a second longer than necessary. Then looked away first. Don't get used to it, she muttered, though the edge had softened. The man cleared his throat awkwardly. So, you got what you needed? Leandra exhaled, stepping back. For now. Mia nodded, pulling out her phone. I'll take a copy of that clip. He hesitated. She held his gaze. Not aggressive. Just firm. He caved. Yeah, all right. While he worked, Leandra moved toward the doorway, needing air that didn't feel stale with secrets. Mia joined her a moment later, phone in hand. We've got something, she said. Leandra nodded. Yeah. A pause. Then she added, quieter. She's careful. Mia leaned against the wall beside her. So are we. Leandra glanced sideways at her. That confidence. That steadiness. It did something unsettling. In a good way. Yeah, Leandra said slowly. We are. Silence stretched between them again, but this time it wasn't about the case. It hovered somewhere else entirely. Mia broke it first. You always stare at clues like you're about to fight them, she asked. Leandra smirked faintly. Only when they're being difficult. Mia's gaze lingered. And me? Leandra turned her head slightly. Met her eyes. Didn't rush the answer. You, she said, voice quieter now, threaded with something warmer. You're not a clue. A beat. Mia didn't look away. No? Leandra shook her head, just once. You're a variable, she said. Still figuring out what to do with you. That landed. Soft. But deep. Mia's lips curved slightly. Let me know when you decide. Leandra's pulse flickered. Just enough to notice. Oh, I will. And just like that, the investigation had teeth. And the space between them? It had heat. Chapter 7. Low light, sharp edges. The bar was dim in that intentional way, soft amber lighting, low music, conversations blending into a quiet hum that didn't ask questions. Leandra approved. Better than the security dungeon, she said, sliding onto a stool. Mia followed, setting her phone down on the counter like it was part of the plan now. Low bar, she replied. Leandra smirked. You keep saying that, but somehow we keep raising it. A bartender drifted over. Drinks were ordered without much thought, something strong enough to take the edge off, not dull it. They didn't speak for a moment. Not because they didn't have anything to say, but because they were both replaying it. The footage. The figure. The ring. Mia broke first. You were right, she said, tapping her phone lightly. About the detail. Leandra glanced sideways, one brow lifting. Careful, she murmured. You're making a habit of agreeing with me. Don't get comfortable, Mia shot back, but her tone carried a thread of something softer. Leandra took a sip of her drink, eyes flicking toward Mia again. So, she said, settling in, ring on the index finger. Not exactly subtle. Mia nodded. Not common either. Most people go ring finger, maybe middle. Index. She tilted her head slightly, thinking, that's intentional. Statement piece, Leandra added. Or habit. Or identity. Leandra's lips curved faintly. Now you're thinking like me. Mia gave her a look. I was always thinking like me. Leandra hummed. Debatable. Their drinks arrived. Neither of them thanked the bartender immediately, too focused, too locked into the rhythm building between them. Mia pulled her phone closer, opening the paused clip again. I ran a quick search while we were leaving, she said. Zoomed, enhanced, did what I could. She turned the screen slightly. Leandra leaned in. Closer than necessary. Close enough to feel the warmth of Mia's arm beside hers. Neither commented. On the screen, the grainy image sharpened just enough to give shape to the ring. Dark band. Distinct design. Not flashy, but not cheap either. Leandra's eyes narrowed. That's custom. Mia glanced at her. You sure? Yeah, Leandra said quietly. Or at least not mass-produced. Look at the edges, too clean, too specific. That's either boutique or handmade. Mia leaned back slightly, studying her. You notice a lot. Leandra didn't look up from the screen. I notice what people forget to hide. A beat. Then she added, lighter. Usually. Mia's gaze lingered just a second longer than it should have. Then she shifted, picking up her drink. So how do we track a ring, she asked. Leandra finally leaned back, exhaling slowly. We don't track the ring, she said. We track where it could have come from. Mia nodded once. Local? Has to be, Leandra replied. If she was here physically, even briefly, she picked it up somewhere, or had it made. Mia's lips pressed together in thought. Jewelry stores, she said. Custom designers. Small workshops. Exactly. A pause. Then Leandra added, almost casually. And places like that remember clients. Especially ones who stand out. Mia caught it. Like someone who hides their face, but wears something distinctive. Leandra smiled. Now you're catching up. Mia huffed a quiet laugh, shaking her head. You're insufferable. Yet here I am, Leandra said, lifting her glass slightly, helping you solve your problem. Mia's gaze flicked to her. Our problem. The words landed differently. Heavier. Shared. Leandra held her eyes for a second. Then nodded. Our problem. Silence settled again, but it wasn't empty. It was full. Of thoughts. Of plans. Of something neither of them was naming yet. Mia broke it this time, voice quieter. You really think we can find her? Leandra didn't answer immediately. She studied her drink, the way the light bent through it, the way things looked different depending on the angle. Then she looked at Mia. Yes, she said simply. Not hopeful. Not doubtful. Certain. Mia held her gaze. Something in her expression shifted, just a fraction. Trust. Not fully formed. But there. Okay, she said. Leandra tilted her head slightly. That's it? What? No sarcastic comeback? No, we'll see. Leandra asked. Mia smirked faintly. Don't ruin it, she said. I'm trying something new. It's called optimism. Leandra laughed softly, shaking her head. Careful. That's how Rose got in. That did it. The mood dipped, just slightly. Reality threading back in. Mia's jaw tightened for a moment. Yeah, she said quietly. Not making that mistake again. Leandra watched her. Really watched her. And something in her tone shifted too, less sharp, more grounded. You're not, she said. Mia glanced at her. You sound sure. I am. A beat. Then Leandra added, softer. Because you're not doing this alone. There it was. Not flirtation. Not strategy. Something real. Mia didn't respond immediately. But she didn't look away either. Good, she said finally. And somehow, that word carried more weight than it should have. Leandra cleared her throat lightly, shifting the moment before it got too heavy. So, she said, tapping the bar once, tomorrow we start with jewelry spots. Mia nodded. Divide and conquer? Leandra considered it. Then shook her head. No. Mia raised a brow. No? Leandra met her gaze, a hint of something playful slipping back in. We stick together, she said. Less chance of missing something. A pause. Then, just slightly. Also, more entertaining. Mia's lips curved. Entertaining, huh? Leandra lifted her glass again. Try to keep up. They clinked lightly. Not a celebration. Not yet. But a beginning of something that felt like momentum. Outside, the night stretched wide and quiet. Inside, two women sat a little closer than necessary, plotting the downfall of a ghost. And maybe, without saying it, the beginning of something neither of them had planned for. Chapter 8: Ghosts and Glass. The message came quietly, almost innocuously. Leandra's phone buzzed at 2:47 a.m. She groaned, flipping it over without looking. But curiosity had other plans. The screen lit up. You know you miss me. Don't play games, Leandra. Rose. Her eyes narrowed. Of course, she muttered. She can't leave well enough alone. Mia, sprawled across Leandra's couch after a late-night stakeout discussion that had devolved into laughter and mock threats, peeked at the phone. You're glowing. I'm not glowing, Leandra replied sharply, though her thumb hovered over the message. She's persistent. Mia rolled onto her side, propping her head on her hand. Persistent or pathetic? Both, Leandra said dryly. Classic Rose. A beat of silence. Then Leandra typed, fingers deliberate. Not interested. Go bother someone else. She hit send. Mia smirked. Short and sharp. I like it. Efficient. Practical, Leandra corrected. and necessary. By morning, both were bleary-eyed, fueled by strong coffee and leftover tension. They sprawled over Mia's small apartment, comparing notes from the previous day. So, Leandra said, tapping her notebook, ring. Index finger. Custom design. Possibly local boutique or artisan workshop. Agreed. Mia nodded, scrolling through her phone. Agreed. No leads yet, but a pattern might emerge if we hit the right spots. Right spots, Leandra echoed, her tone sharper now analytical. We cover the obvious first, small stores, local designers. High-end chains later. People remember clients who stand out. We need specifics, not guesses. And we stick together this time, Mia added, voice lighter, teasing. For entertainment. Leandra raised a brow. Entertainment or watching you struggle not to flirt with every jeweler? Mia laughed, leaning back. Both. By mid-morning, they were walking the quiet streets of the city's boutique district, leather jackets brushing against the sun-warmed air, the sharp edge of anticipation humming between them. They stopped first at a small workshop tucked behind a florist. A bell chimed faintly as they entered. Leandra leaned in close to the counter, voice calm but firm. Morning. We're looking for someone who had a custom ring made recently. Index finger. Distinct design. The jeweler, polishing a delicate band, glanced up. Custom rings? Could be anyone. Lots of people come in. Mia's gaze flicked to Leandra. Start broad or narrow? Broad first, Leandra said. But attentive. Minutes passed. Every detail was scrutinized, the way the jeweler remembered a client, the descriptions, the patterns. Leandra and Mia exchanged glances, silent communication sharper than words. Index finger, Mia whispered after a pause. We're not the first to notice that? Probably not, Leandra replied softly. But they all forget the tiny things. The air thickened. Their shoulders brushed occasionally, unintentional sparks that didn't go unnoticed. Neither commented. Not yet. After an hour, nothing concrete emerged, but Leandra's phone pinged. We might have a lead. Another boutique downtown. Same pattern. Index finger. Red gemstone this time. Mia tilted her head. Red gemstone? She's predictable. Not stupid, Leandra replied. Predictable. Calculated. That's what we exploit. A pause as they both looked at each other. You ever think, Mia said, voice teasing but low, that we might be enjoying this way too much? Enjoying tracking a scammer? Leandra asked, smirk tugging at her lips. Not yet. But the company? Definitely. Mia's laugh was quiet but sharp. Dangerous. Like us, Leandra said, voice dropping just a touch. And as they stepped out onto the street, the city buzzing around them, both felt it, the hunt pulling them forward, but the electricity between them pulling just as strongly. Rose might have sent her ghost, but Leandra and Mia? They were very, very real. Chapter 9. The Red Thread. The boutique sat on a quieter street, sunlight bouncing off polished glass. Small enough to be overlooked, large enough to hold secrets. Leandra and Mia walked in like they owned the curiosity, not the place. Leather brushing against the floor, subtle glances, silent agreements. Red gemstone, Leandra whispered, almost to herself, scanning the counter. Ruby? Garnet? Something cheaper pretending to be fancy? Mia muttered, eyes scanning the shelves and stuff alike. Leandra smirked. If she's Rose, it's intentional. Look rich, not gaudy. Attention without guilt. The jeweler, a woman in her 40s, sharp eyes, quick hands, noticed them immediately. Looking for something special? She asked. Leandra's tone was calm, controlled, but sharp. Yes. A custom ring. Index finger. Distinct design. Recent order. The woman paused, fingering a tray of rings. I don't remember every order, but wait, yes. There was one. Red stone. Came in alone. Paid cash. Mia leaned slightly closer. How recent? 2 weeks ago, the jeweler replied. Tuesday. Around noon. Came in, asked for discretion. Didn't give her real name. Leandra's eyes flicked to Mia. Tuesday, same day. Same pattern. She's careful. Calculated, Mia said softly, tone almost impressed. Dangerous, Leandra corrected. And still predictable. The jeweler continued. I didn't ask, didn't need to. But the design, unique. The edges are cut at a slight angle. Signature style. Whoever made it knows their craft. Leandra took a small notebook from her bag, scribbling quietly. Mia's gaze kept flicking to her, each glance a reminder. Side by side, focused, in sync. So, Leandra said after a pause, voice low, she hasn't sold it or returned since. We're probably tracking the boutique she commissioned it from. Mia tilted her head. That means she's local. Maybe still in the city. Or she trusts the anonymity of distance. Leandra smirked faintly. Or she underestimates us. Mia's lips quirked. We're very real. Unlike her ghostly appearances. Exactly, Leandra said, closing her notebook. We know patterns. She doesn't know us yet. That's the edge. The jeweler leaned forward, lowering her voice. I remember one small detail. She asked me to package it in a black velvet pouch. Didn't want it photographed. Paid in exact cash. And, her eyes flicked to Leandra. She wore a bracelet. Thin silver, little charm. A rose. Both women froze. Of course, Leandra muttered. She can't resist leaving a signature. Rose, Mia said softly, almost a growl. She's mocking us. Leandra glanced at her. The heat between them wasn't just frustration. Not just adrenaline. Something else underlined it, charged, electric, sharper than the sunlight cutting through the boutique window. Let's move, Leandra said, stepping toward the door. If she's predictable, she's planning the next step. We need to stay ahead. Mia followed, just a step behind. Close enough that Leandra felt it. Their shoulders brushed, subtle friction in leather and in tension. Outside, the city hummed, oblivious. But for Leandra and Mia, every shadow, every reflection in the shop windows held a question. Somewhere, Rose was watching. Waiting. Leaving clues. Taunting. And Leandra and Mia? They weren't just following the trail anymore. They were closing in. Close enough to feel the danger. Close enough to feel each other. And neither of them planned to back off. Chapter 10. Tangled Threads. The city streets smelled faintly of rain and exhaust, a strange cocktail that sharpened senses. Leandra and Mia moved carefully, keeping the boutique behind them in their periphery. Every reflection in a window, every passerby could be her. She's close, Leandra muttered, eyes scanning the crowd. Too close, Mia agreed, her hand brushing against Leandra's as they rounded a corner. Neither pulled away. They spotted her, or thought they did. A woman with a dark jacket and sunglasses, moving with purpose, almost too controlled. The way she carried herself, the tilt of her head. Rose. Leandra's pulse spiked. Stay calm, Mia whispered. We need her to make a move, not us. Leandra nodded, shoulders tense. Watch her. Don't blink. They followed at a discreet distance, eyes fixed, hearts hammering. Rose ducked into an alley, glancing over her shoulder. She didn't know they were tailing her. Should we confront? Mia asked softly. Not yet, Leandra said, voice like steel. We get close. We see what she wants. They kept to the shadows, silent, their movements almost synchronized. Each step a heartbeat in the chase. Rose paused at a small cafe doorway. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Perfect. Leandra and Mia slowed, crouching behind a parked car. She's distracted, Leandra murmured. Now. They moved, cutting off her path subtly, careful not to alert her completely. Rose's head snapped up. Eyes sharp. Alert. You, she said, voice low but clear. "Hi, Rose," Leandra said, stepping forward, calm, controlled. "We were hoping to bump into you." Mia's presence was at Leandra's side, a subtle shadow, grounding, protective. Rose laughed softly, the sound cold, teasing. "Bold. Both of you." "Predictable?" Mia asked, voice even but cutting. Rose's smile flickered. She glanced around, assessing, calculating. "Dangerous," she said finally. "Very dangerous." Leandra tilted her head slightly. "Good. We like dangerous." Rose's eyes flicked to Mia, then back to Leandra. She shifted, almost a step forward, almost, but not quite. "I see you've learned," Rose said. "But this, chasing me? It won't end well." Leandra's lips curled into a half-smile. "Depends who's chasing who." Mia's hand brushed against Leandra's briefly, just enough to ground the moment, to remind them both that they weren't alone in this game. Rose's gaze lingered. A silent acknowledgement that she understood, that the chase had changed. Then, in one smooth, fluid movement, she melted back into the crowd. Gone. Leandra exhaled slowly, tension leaving her shoulders in tiny bursts. Mia watched her carefully, expression unreadable. "She's smart," Mia said finally. "And she's playing." "Of course," Leandra replied, straightening. "But so are we." A beat passed. And then, Leandra's gaze flicked to Mia. "That was closer than I expected." Mia smirked faintly. "Closer than expected, or closer than comfortable?" Leandra's pulse ticked up. "Depends how you define comfortable." Mia's lips twitched. "Careful, Leandra. Comfort's overrated." Leandra laughed softly, the sound sharp but amused. "Danger? Preferred." The city moved around them oblivious. But Leandra and Mia felt it, the thrill of near capture, the adrenaline of being just steps from the ghost who had haunted them, and the unspoken electricity of being side by side, watching, calculating, surviving. Rose had left a mark. But Leandra and Mia? They had each other. And that was far more dangerous. Chapter 11, Redstone. The boutique district was quieter than usual, shadows stretching long in the late afternoon. Leandra and Mia moved like predators, every step deliberate, eyes sweeping. "Red gemstone," Leandra muttered, scanning a small, high-end store tucked between two cafes. "If she's following her pattern, she'll be here." Mia's gaze flicked to her. "Or she thinks she can outsmart us." "Not today," Leandra replied. "Not when we're prepared." They entered the boutique casually, voices soft, but eyes sharp. Jewelry sparkled under the lights, but their focus was on the clientele. Then Leandra spotted her. Rose. Hands on the counter, examining a display ring. She didn't notice them immediately, too busy comparing, calculating. "Stay calm," Leandra whispered, shoulder brushing Mia's. Mia's breath hitched slightly. "You ever notice how infuriatingly graceful she is?" "Focus," Leandra said, voice tight. But she couldn't help a smirk. "Graceful, yes. Dangerous, even more." They circled subtly, keeping a casual distance. Leandra's mind raced. Patterns. Predictable movements. Every flick of Rose's hand, the tilt of her head, the way she lingered. Rose paused, glanced toward the counter near the entrance. And then, finally, she saw them. A flash of recognition. A flicker of that old, practiced charm. "Leandra," she said smoothly, voice low. "And you brought company." Mia stepped slightly closer, arms crossed, exuding calm. "We work better in pairs," she said, tone casual but firm. Rose's eyes narrowed. "Bold. Both of you." "Predictable," Leandra said, voice like steel. "Dangerous too." Rose smiled, that sharp, knowing smile that always carried a hint of menace. "Careful," she said. "You're stepping into my game." Leandra tilted her head, studying her. "You think you're running the board. We just noticed the pieces you didn't move correctly." The boutique seemed to shrink around them, Rose in the center, Leandra and Mia closing the distance like shadows merging. Then Rose made a move. Quick, subtle, trying to slip toward the door. Not today, Mia said, stepping in, cutting her off. Rose froze, eyes flicking between the two women. Persistent. Calculating, Leandra corrected. And very awake. A tense beat. Then, almost imperceptibly, Rose's hand flicked toward her bag. Leandra's reflexes were faster. She blocked Rose's path. No sudden moves. Mia mirrored her, cornering the other side. Rose's lips curved faintly. Impressive. Thank you, Leandra said dryly. We try. Another heartbeat of silence. Then Rose backed down slightly, raising her hands just enough to look innocent. You're both irritatingly competent, she said. But clever. I'll give you that. Competent enough to notice patterns, Mia said, voice smooth. Enough to see you leave clues. Rose's eyes flickered, just a second too long. That was all they needed. Leandra's hand brushed against Rose's counter subtly, indicating she'd seen the distinctive ring again, confirmation of the trail. Rose's smirk faltered slightly. She glanced around, realizing there was no easy exit without leaving herself exposed. Leandra leaned closer, voice low but clear. We know your pattern. We know your moves. And we know you're running out of room to hide. Rose's gaze hardened. Not done yet, she said softly. But, a pause. You're not afraid. Leandra's pulse ticked up, meeting her eyes. You should hope not. For a long moment, the boutique was quiet except for the faint tinkle of glass. Then Rose moved. Not fast. Not reckless. But enough to slip past them, almost. But Leandra's eyes followed every step. Mia mirrored her. Shadows in sync. By the time Rose reached the door, she knew. They weren't just chasing her. They were closing in. Outside, the city hummed obliviously. But inside, the game had sharpened to a blade. And Leandra and Mia? They were ready to follow it, wherever Rose tried to run. Chapter 12. The Trap. The cafe they picked wasn't random. Small, cozy, corner table, outside view of the street. Casual enough to look innocent. But inside, Leandra and Mia's phones were buzzing quietly with updates from Detective Harris, quiet, competent, no nonsense. She's going to take the bait, Leandra said, sliding into the seat across from Mia. Mia smirked, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Or she thinks she's smarter than the cops waiting outside. Good, Leandra said, voice low, sharp. She needs that confidence. Minutes passed. Coffee steamed gently in front of them, but neither touched it. Eyes scanned the door, every reflection, every passerby. Then, inevitable, Rose appeared. Same dark jacket, same controlled walk, same smirk that said I'm untouchable. She spotted them immediately. Hesitated just a heartbeat, and that was enough. Leandra, she said, smooth, cold. I wondered when I'd see you again. And you brought backup. Mia leaned back slightly, calm, letting Leandra handle it first. Leandra's pulse was steady, controlled, but inside, every nerve was alert. Rose, Leandra said, voice soft but cutting. We've got enough to make this very interesting for you. Rose's lips curved faintly. I've always liked interesting. From their hidden vantage, Detective Harris's team stirred. Cameras discreetly positioned, backup ready. Rose glanced casually at the door, then back at them. You really think you can corner me here? Leandra's lips twitched into a faint smirk. We're not cornering. We're inviting. The air thickened. Mia shifted slightly, brushing against Leandra under the table. Leandra's eyes flicked down, a tiny pulse of electricity between them. Detectives will be here any second, Leandra whispered, just loud enough for Rose to hear. Rose's eyes narrowed, calculating. She had underestimated them. How many women did this? But she was still poised, still sharp. Dangerous, yes, but caught in the periphery of their planning. Maybe. I'll leave before it gets messy, she said, voice even. Leandra leaned forward, calm, deliberate. Or maybe stay and see how predictable your moves are when someone's been paying attention. Your pattern is evident, Rose. Every ring, every message, every fake identity, it all leads here. Rose's smirk faltered slightly, just enough. From the cafe entrance, a faint shuffle. Detective Harris stepped inside casually, eyes locked on Rose, his presence a quiet hammer behind the door. Rose's gaze flicked to him. Her confidence wavered for the briefest second. Mia's voice broke the silence. Funny, isn't it? How the untouchable suddenly becomes touchable. Rose's jaw tightened. She opened her mouth, then paused, considering. A soft click. Another. Cameras catching every movement. Detective Harris's voice was calm, precise. Rose Delaney? You're under investigation for fraud and harassment. Please come with us. For a heartbeat, the world slowed. Rose's eyes darted between Leandra and Mia, defiance, frustration, realization. Then she exhaled sharply. You think this is over? Leandra's smirk was small, but victorious. It is for now. Mia's hand brushed Leandra's, subtle, grounding. We did it, she murmured. Leandra's eyes met hers, pulse still racing. Together. Rose was escorted away, protesting softly, already calculating her next move in silence. But the moment belonged to Leandra and Mia. Electricity still hummed between them, but now it was tinged with triumph, relief, and just enough tension to promise the storm wasn't over. Outside, the city carried on. But inside that cafe, Leandra and Mia sat back, letting themselves feel the rare, hard-won victory and savoring the closeness that had carried them through the hunt. Chapter 13. After the storm. The cafe was quiet now. Outside, the city hummed like nothing had happened. Inside, Leandra and Mia leaned back in their chairs, letting the adrenaline drain slowly, the tension leaving their muscles in small waves. You know, Mia said, voice low, a hint of amusement threading through. We make a good team. Leandra's lips twitched into a faint, satisfied smirk. I was thinking the same thing. Dangerous, efficient, occasionally charming. Mia's eyes flicked up, sharp and teasing. Occasionally. Occasionally, Leandra repeated, mock stern. Don't push it. They laughed softly, a quiet sound, just for themselves. The world outside was oblivious to the cat-and-mouse chase they'd just mastered. For the first time in days, Leandra felt grounded. Not in strategy, not in plans, but in this calm, this shared moment. Mia mirrored it perfectly, the easy banter and the undercurrent of something electric lingering between them. Later, at the police station, things moved quickly. With the evidence Leandra and Mia had gathered, the ring trail, the boutique confirmations, the phone records, the communications, Rose had little room to maneuver. Under the watchful eyes of Detective Harris, Rose cracked. They weren't supposed to figure it out, she muttered, voice tight, hands restrained. Who? Leandra asked, leaning against the wall, calm but watchful. The team, Rose admitted, voice low, tense. The sweetheart scammers, the others. I managed a few, but I underestimated you. Mia stepped closer. Names. Locations. Everything. Now. Rose swallowed, defiance flickering one last time. Then reality sank in. Fine. I'll tell you everything. Just make it stop. Hours later, with Rose spilling her network, the authorities moved efficiently. Accounts frozen, operations dismantled, team members apprehended, all traced back to her coordination. Leandra and Mia watched, side by side, silent but proud. They didn't need words, the glow of victory, the hum of justice was enough. When the last call was made, Leandra leaned against Mia slightly, a subtle brush of warmth. You did good, Mia murmured, voice soft, almost intimate. "You weren't bad yourself," Leandra replied, eyes locking briefly, a small spark passing between them. The world outside the station seemed lighter. The chaos contained. Rose and her team neutralized. But the energy between Leandra and Mia? Still charged, still dangerously alive. Mia's hand brushed Leandra's arm, a small, unspoken acknowledgement. Leandra didn't pull away. "Think we've earned a drink?" Mia asked. Leandra's smirk returned, sharper this time. "I'd say we've earned the whole night." And as they stepped out together, side by side, the city around them buzzing and indifferent, it felt like something had shifted. Something unspoken, undeniable, electric. For now, the sweetheart scammers were gone. But Leandra and Mia? They were very, very real. Chapter 14. Sparks in the Calm. The city lights shimmered through the rain-specked windows of Mia's apartment, golden reflections dancing across polished wood floors. Leandra and Mia stood close, shoulders brushing, the quiet aftermath of chaos still humming between them. "You know," Leandra said softly, voice low and warm, "we've been through a lot in the last few days." Mia's eyes glimmered in the dim light. "A lot? That's one way to put it. I'd say we've been through a hurricane." Leandra smiled, a slow, teasing curve. "A hurricane with excellent company." Mia's laugh was quiet, intimate. "You make it sound dangerous." "Dangerous is fun," Leandra replied, leaning just a little closer. "When it's worth it." "Worth it." The words lingered, unspoken between them, heavy with meaning. They didn't need to rush. The city, the chaos, Rose's games, it was all behind them. For now, it was just this, just them. Mia took a small step forward, closing the space, letting her hand brush against Leandra's. It was electric, subtle, teasing, a spark that said more than words could. Leandra's pulse ticked faster. She met Mia's gaze, eyes dark and unguarded. "You have no idea how long I've wanted this," she murmured. Mia tilted her head, lips quirking. "I think I have some idea," she said, voice soft but daring. "And I'm hoping it's mutual." "Mutual," Leandra echoed, leaning closer, letting the warmth between them grow. "Very mutual." The brush of lips was tentative at first, exploratory, testing, teasing, a slow burn. But the tension that had built over days of chaos, chase, and near misses ignited instantly. Hands found shoulders, waists, arms, gentle, demanding, insistent. Every touch spoke volumes, every glance a promise. Mia's fingers tangled in Leandra's hair, pulling her closer. Leandra's lips curved against hers, soft but commanding, tasting, teasing. Chemistry that had been simmering in texts, in shared looks, in dangerous moments now exploded into something raw, electric. They broke for breath, foreheads touching, hearts racing in tandem. "You're impossible," Mia whispered, voice husky, eyes gleaming. "Yeah," Leandra replied, smirk tugging at her lips. "But you like it?" Mia laughed softly, a sound full of warmth and desire. "Very much." Hours passed unnoticed. Rain streaked the windows, city lights flickered, and for Leandra and Mia, time didn't matter. Only this, the closeness, the laughter, the soft murmurs, the brush of skin against skin, the quiet confession of connection they'd both been craving. The world outside could wait. For now, the storm was over, the hunters gone, and all that remained was the calm, filled with sparks, laughter, and the undeniable pull of two hearts finally free to collide. Leandra pressed her forehead to Mia's again, voice soft, intimate. "You know, this is dangerous too, isn't it?" Mia's fingers brushed along her jaw, voice teasing but tender. "Dangerous is exactly what I like." And with that, they let themselves sink fully into the moment, no plans, no danger, no schemes. Just chemistry, connection, and the kind of intimacy that made every chase, every threat, every sleepless night feel worth it. Chapter 15. After the hunt. Days had passed. The city moved on, indifferent to the chaos that had just erupted, but Leandra and Mia had carved out their own quiet corner in it, a world stitched together from laughter, stolen glances, and the steady rhythm of hearts finally aligned. They met at their favorite cafe, the one with the tiny balcony overlooking the street, sunlight streaming across their intertwined hands. No tension, no plans, no chase. Just the quiet joy of being together. You know, Leandra said, voice soft, teasing just enough, I thought chasing Rose would be the most dangerous thing I'd do this week. Mia laughed, the sound warm, rich. Turns out, falling for you is way more perilous. Leandra tilted her head, smirk tugging at her lips. Perilous how? In the best way, Mia said, eyes shining, thumb brushing lightly along Leandra's knuckles. Heart racing, mind dizzy, everything on edge, and I'd do it again. They laughed together, soft and easy, a sound that had nothing to do with schemes or near misses, and everything to do with this. Real, alive, undeniable. It was ironic in the sweetest possible way. They had chased a scammer, untangled her web, and in the process, found exactly what Rose could never give them. Real love. Authentic connection. A bond forged in chaos, but strengthened every single day. Do you ever think, Leandra murmured, leaning close, that we were waiting for her to screw us over just so we'd find this? Mia smirked, brushing her lips along Leandra's cheek. Maybe. Or maybe we were just finally ready to recognize it when it showed up. They stayed like that a long while, watching the city hum below, letting the warmth and quiet pulse of their shared world fill them. Rose's schemes, the sweetheart scams, the chase, they belonged to the past now. What mattered was here. And every day after, Leandra and Mia grew stronger. Not just as a team, not just as partners in justice, but as two people who had found in each other exactly what they had been hoping for, even if they hadn't known they were searching. Love, finally real. Connection, undeniable. Life, a little brighter, sharper, and infinitely more electric. They didn't need danger anymore, not like they used to. Now, the thrill came from each other, a look, a touch, a laugh shared at exactly the right moment. And Leandra, with a smile full of mischief and heart, whispered, you know. I think Rose would have been disappointed. Mia laughed softly, resting her head against Leandra's shoulder. Good. Let her be. We got exactly what we were hoping for. Together, side by side, stronger, unshakable, and finally, home. Chapter 16. Scammers Anonymous, A New Beginning. The office was small but vibrant, a bright corner space filled with light and determination. Posters with bold slogans lined the walls. Knowledge is power, trust wisely, love wisely, we've got your back. Leandra and Mia stood side by side at the front desk, reviewing new messages from women who had reached out, stories of heartbreak, deceit, and betrayal. Women who, like them, had been lured by charmers and left with scars, emotional and financial. Look at this one, Leandra said, voice soft but resolute, pointing to a message on the screen. She got caught in a sweetheart scam last month. Just found us. Just in time. Mia read over her shoulder, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Then we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Every warning, every tip, every connection matters. They had created more than an agency. They'd created a sanctuary, a network, a lifeline. And they did it together, their chemistry and trust as steady as the foundation they were building. A knock on the door drew their attention. A new volunteer, a woman in her 20s with wide, wary eyes, stepped in hesitantly. Hi. I heard you help women who've been scammed, she asked. Mia stepped forward, warm, confident. Yes, you're in the right place. And you're not alone. Leandra smiled, extending her hand. We've been where you are. And we've learned a lot. Now we share that knowledge so no one else has to feel that alone, that lost. As the woman relaxed, Mia whispered to Leandra, just loud enough for her to hear, feels different, helping like this. Leandra caught her gaze, fingers brushing lightly. It does. But it feels right. Like this is what we were meant to do. Weeks turned into months. The agency grew, women sharing stories, learning to spot the signs, supporting each other. Leandra and Mia led it all, side by side, but with a spark that never faded. Every day they built not just a future for others, but for themselves. In quiet moments, they would sit together after meetings, hands intertwined, smiles soft, eyes full of the unspoken thrill of having survived the hunt, having caught Rose, and having found each other in the process. They had chased a scammer, navigated danger, outwitted deceit. And in the wreckage, they had found more than justice. They had found love. Real, authentic, unshakable. And they had built something lasting, not just for them, but for every woman who would walk through their doors. Together. Stronger. Dangerous, but in the best way. Outside, the city pulsed with life, indifferent as ever. But inside their office, a small revolution thrived, a sanctuary forged from scars, chemistry, courage, and hope. And Leandra and Mia? They were unstoppable. Side by side. Always. Chapter 17. A moment to breathe. Rain still whispered softly against the balcony windows, tiny droplets catching the city lights like scattered diamonds. Leandra and Mia leaned over the railing, shoulders brushing, a shared smile stretching between them that needed no words. You know, Leandra murmured, swirling the wine in her glass, I never thought catching a scammer would feel like this. Mia chuckled, leaning her head against Leandra's shoulder. Like what? Like winning, Leandra said softly, eyes tracing the lights below. Not just catching her, but finding this. Us. Mia's fingers brushed over Leandra's, lingering, playful. We made it. And it feels real. Finally real. They sat there for a long while, the city humming below them, the chaos of the past a distant memory. The red gemstone had long been returned, Rose's schemes dismantled, the sweetheart network neutralized, but what they had found in each other, that was priceless. Do you ever get scared? Leandra asked quietly, that it might slip away? Mia tilted her head, eyes glinting in the soft light, a small, confident smile forming. Not with you. We're stronger than that. And if anyone or anything tries, well, we've already shown we can handle it. Leandra laughed softly, a sound full of relief and warmth, leaning her head against Mia's. I like that. I like us. Mia kissed the top of her head, fingers still intertwined. Then let's just stay here a little longer. No plans. No chase. Just us. And so they did. Wine, laughter, teasing glances, soft touches, a simple, perfect calm after the storm. The city could wait. The world could wait. Because right here, right now, Leandra and Mia had everything they'd been looking for. Victory, yes, but also love, trust, and a bond that only grew stronger with every heartbeat. And for the first time in a long time, both of them felt home. Epilogue. Life after the storm. The office of Scammers Anonymous had grown larger, brighter, filled with women learning, laughing, and sharing stories. The city outside buzzed as always, but inside, there was purpose, laughter, and warmth. Leandra and Mia walked through the space hand in hand, heads bent together, quietly whispering plans for an upcoming seminar. Their chemistry was effortless now, the teasing smirks and soft touches just part of the rhythm of their days. A young woman approached, nervous but hopeful, clutching her laptop. Hi. I saw your workshops online. I think I might have been scammed recently. Could you help me? Mia smiled warmly, looping an arm through Leandra's. You came to the right place. And you're not alone, Leandra added, voice gentle but firm, brushing a strand of hair from the woman's face. We've been there. We've survived it. And we're here to make sure you don't have to face it alone. After the meeting, they slipped out onto the balcony. The city stretched endlessly beneath them. Mia leaned against the railing, hand brushing Leandra's as they shared a quiet, intimate smile. "Do you ever think," Leandra asked softly, eyes tracing the skyline, "that we were actually meant to chase Rose, just to find this?" Mia tilted her head, playful glint in her eye. "I think we were meant to find each other. And everything else just made the story worth telling." They laughed together, soft and knowing. Years of chaos behind them, yet the spark never dimmed. Leandra's fingers found Mia's, interlaced, fingers curling together naturally. "Still dangerous?" Leandra teased. Mia smirked, pressing a soft kiss to Leandra's temple. "Always. But the kind of dangerous I actually like." They stood there, hand in hand, looking over the city they had survived, conquered, and now thrived in, partners in justice, in love, and in life. Their victory had grown beyond catching a scammer. It had become a life together, a future built on trust, laughter, chemistry, and the undeniable bond that had started in chaos, but had matured into something unshakable. And as the city lights shimmered below, Leandra and Mia knew one thing for sure. No matter what came next, together, they were unstoppable. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and like this video and follow me for more stories. You are always welcome here, and leave me a comment or a thumbs up, just letting me know if you like the story and would like more, or is there perhaps an idea that you would like to share or let me write for you.